We are notifying your viewers that you are live.
Well, I thank you for that. I appreciate you. Appreciate it, TikTok.
All right. Let's get it going. What's up, baby?
Hello.
Hello. Who knows? Let's come back over here. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, right there. Oh, that's how we like it. So, tell us where you're watching from, guys. What's your favorite sandwich? And we're going to come in and do one of my favorite little sunsetty, wintry scenes. It's very simple. There's no big giant mountain, no nothing. No lot of nothing up there, right? Take a little bit of our brown. Ooh. That brown color up on top of that red makes it look really neat. I'm telling you as we go. Come in here to our crimson. A lot of crimson paint. Oof. Oofa. So tell us where you're watching from, guys. What's your favorite sandwich? Because tonight's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a very colorful, sunsetty scene. It's going to be fantastic. So take a little bit more of our red, a little bit more of that yellow, just down into here. All bounce off of our snow colors at some point. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now let's come in. Let's go back. A little bit more of that crimson. Just a touch. Very cool color. A little bit more of our brown up in here. Gotta have that darkish brownish tint to the sky. Gonna be very neat. Oh yeah. There we go. Now it all depends on how far we spread all that dark color around. Determines what our sky is gonna look like, right? Take a little touch of blue, just a little touch. Drag it up into here. Dragging the color. Very neat. Always trying to mess around with different color patterns so we're not always painting the same exact thing, right? Come down in here, a little bit of our brown down into here, just right over the crimson. Don't need to have a whole lot of color because we're gonna have a bunch of snow down here. It's gonna be gorgeous. Gonna be gorgeous. So let's take and start to really blend this color out. You can tell we can't do it with this brush because there's way too much paint on it. So we gotta get rid of all this paint. Where are you guys watching from around the world? I want to know. We get people from all over. What's up, guys? What's up? What's happening, Blah Panda? Tommy's here watching. Amber's here from Ontario. I Spy Inserts. We got Rhode Island, Virginia, San Diego, Florida. We need spooky paintings for Halloween. It's not Halloween yet. It's not even October yet. It's barely even September. How can we need spooky paintings already? It's barely September. Now we're gonna come in here with our little bit pressure onto that yellow. Knocking all the color off the brush. Right in here into that yellowy color, and then we're gonna start to decide how much of the red gets to come down, how much starts to grow in. Now we're gonna come back over and darken the whole thing again. So, just like this, right? The more we pull on that paint, the more color wants to grow across and reach all the way across over there, which is not necessarily what we want. We don't want to cover up our whole bit. We don't want it to all be the same color. If it's all the same color, what are we doing out here? What are we out here for if it's all the same color? We don't want to be doing that. Let's see. Haha, you can get a little of that Meeden crimson out because it's such a pretty color, but you don't need a whole heck of a lot of it, let me tell you. You don't need a whole lot. I mean, look at that. Just the difference in the size of the pile. It's insane. This stuff is so much wetter that it'll stretch a lot further. Oh, look at that color. Such a pretty color. Such a pretty color. Bring it down into here. Let it blend its way. Very cool. I love that Meeden crimson for the sky is just fantastic. I mean, you can't find a better color, in my opinion. Bob Ross crimson's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, but this one is much more of like a purpley, magenta-y, really crazy color. Very neat little color. Ah, oh, so neat. Look at all those little differences in there, guys. Very cool. Now I'll come back with a little teeny touch of black, and we're going to come down from the top, littlest bit. Barely even getting any on the brush. Littlest bit. There we go. dragging it in, just darkening things down, having them be a little bit darker away from our sunlight over here, right? Now, you don't want to put a whole 10 ton of black up onto the canvas because it'll be hard to blend away. Just little things at a time, back and forth until we like how the sky's starting to turn out, right? Come back in here. Little things as we drag it over very lightly. Just light little pressure. Look at that. Super bright area out there, right? And then we go back and pop a sun right over to the top of that sucker. And that's going to be fun. Fresh, clean, dry brush. There we go. Back into our yellow color. Very softly. Softly, 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 softly. Wow. That's a pretty one right there, guys. That's a pretty one right there. Now, we're going to take a smallish filbert brush and go right into our white paint. And then I'm going to show you, we only put it on the one side, right? Just the one side, not the back side, just the front side, not the back side. All right, so we'll take the front side, we'll come up here, we're going to plop it straight into our little brightest area right in the middle, right? And then we're going to rotate the brush around, try to spin it, keeping it flat to the canvas, and it'll create this beautiful little circle of white right out there in our sky. It's really fantastic. Super easy little technique to do, and a lot of fun. You don't have to get your finger dirty. Really quick, easy, and if it's quick and easy, you're going to try it again, right? That's what I always say. That's what I always say. So we're going to wash these brushes off real quick. If you've never seen how we wash the brushes, my odorless mineral spirits is about this high up in my cup. So even though it looks like I'm dunking the whole brush in, I'm only touching the top of the liquid to the bottom of the bristles, you know what I mean? Then we shake it off inside in that empty area that's in here, right? If this was full of liquid and I did this, it would spill out all over the place. So we shake it off. Now it comes out, doesn't drip anymore. You're not in worry of like transferring it from here over to your trash can and having it drip all over the place, right? Shake it into a can, then into the beater bucket. Now I use a golf ball basket down in the bottom of a 5-gallon bucket, and then we change out the trash bag every so often. And it just gives you a crisscross surface where you can beat the devil out of it, keep it contained inside the bucket. And it's a very cool idea just for, you know, in-home painting. It'll be really neat. Definitely don't want to be spraying all over the place when you're inside and throwing all the paint thinner all over. It's really bad. I'm telling you, I tried doing it once when I was outside, and it got everywhere. I'm talking about everywhere. So, from then on, we use the bucket no matter if we're outside or if we're inside. Let's see. You guys. You gotta piece it out in your brain what it's gonna look like, right? We're gonna come in with some clouds. Gotta come in with some clouds. Got to. If you don't have clouds, I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of the times you can have a really beautiful sky and not have any clouds, and that's totally fine if it's all blended together perfectly, right? So, tell me where you're watching from, guys. I'm back here reading some comments. This is amazing. Thank you, Emmy. I appreciate that. So, I try to teach you everything I know, step by step, so you don't have to struggle with yours, right? It's a hard thing, painting, especially if you don't have a teacher. And I like to try to show you guys everything, and that way, with the step-by-step videos, you can literally reproduce the same exact thing on your canvas. It'd be awesome. Now, we're going to take a fan brush. Doesn't matter what size fan brush it is, just an old fan brush. Right? Mine's a nice big one. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be this big. You can get a little smaller one. You can do whatever you want. We're just going to load it up with paint. Much more than when we do our black canvases. And you can tell it's much more thickly loaded onto there, right? Because it's going to blend in with all these colors. So we're going to take that brush, knock it to the camera lens. We're going to come up here, stick it onto the canvas, and then just move it around and twist it and twirl it and get all these crazy little bits of clouds out there. Right? We can even have some up here. Boom, like they came and wrapped around almost. And we'll show you, just by making a mess up there, what you can do with one little brush that's going to make it a little softer, right? This is the Bob Ross landscape brush, the 1-inch landscape brush. I don't know if you can see the label right there, but that's what it is. We're going to come over here. We're going to start to mix it up. I like these brushes because they have long bristles and they're sort of firm, but the more length that you have, the more softness you can get as it rotates around. And you get this cool little thing. And all we're doing is making little counterclockwise circles. Try not to touch our little sun. Over here, over there, back and forth, and you push a little bit harder and you can bring some more of that white color down. Maybe you start to blend it, you start to push it, right? Everything is wet. The color underneath the canvas is wet. Everything is wet. The white color is wet, the color underneath is wet, the whole canvas is a big old wet mess, right? You need it wet in order for it to blend. Thank you for the gift. I appreciate it. I heard it. I didn't get to see it. I'm back here. I'm in front of the camera. I never do the thing where you like rotate the camera around until the end, right? If you want to see me and talk to me, we'll do that at the end. Otherwise, I get too distracted, and then I forget what I'm saying, I forget what I'm teaching, and I just can't. So maybe it's just me. I'm just too big of a dummy to be able to do it. Just like that, though. Couple little bits right now. Look at all of the paint that got transferred and turned from white into this pinkish purplish mess, right? Let's go clean this brush off. Again, going into that odorless mineral spirits. In this case, with a fan brush, I like to dunk the whole brush in, shake it, like kind of mush it against the sides of the cup, trying to get all the paint to come off of it, shake it into the can, and then into the beater bucket the same exact way. And with a big fan brush, you won't hurt it. I have broken a smaller one in half before. Like I've had too much pressure, leaned down too far, and I pulled it out and it was like, and come off the top, and the bottom of the top of the brush was down into the bucket. Really bad. Now let's come again. Let's get a little bit more white onto the brush, just reloading it same exact way that we had it before. Just like that, right? All that thick nastiness. And we bring it up here like this. You can see where we have our light color, right? The brightest is right up here by the sun, and then it gets darker and darker and darker. That's where you pop in your next little bit, right? But we don't need both the colors to touch. You don't have to have both the colors of white touching. You want to have it go from light to dark, and then pow! How you like me now? Right? Little LL Cool Josh in the house. Don't tell the real LL Cool J. He might get mad. LL Cool Josh will show you how to paint. Just a little bit of pressure. We get to decide what it's going to look like, and then we can mix them down and pull them off and stretch them out. Now you have all these little bits of depth, layers in our clouds, all the way back to our sun. Million trillion miles away. Well, like 93 million miles. However far away the sun is. I'm not an astrologist or a scientist, right? I'm a paintist. All right, now we're going to take our 2-inch brush. In order to soften down, if you look at the canvas, right, you guys are looking at it, looks gorgeous. But you look at it from the side over here, there's a lot of brush swivels and marks and stuff like that. And that's why we take our 2-inch brush and we go very lightly from the top to the bottom, or the bottom to the top if you have dyslexia like me. And then from side to side, just kind of softening those brush marks, not trying to move the whole bit of paint, right? Just going over it so lightly that you barely even get any color on the tips of the brush, right? Barely got anything on there. So, such a light amount of pressure that it needs. Now we're gonna come in, and I'm gonna show you how to use this crazy tool. Have you ever seen how to use one of these? Does anybody know what this is called in the comments right here? What is this thing called? Does anybody know? I've seen a couple different names that people use for it, and mine's like all nasty and gross, but what's this one called? Does anybody know? Let's see. It says spatula. Eleni says spatula. Carrie Neal says palette knife. Scrapey thing says Airy Fairy Fair. I like that. The scrapey thing. Painter's knife says Desi. See, look at all these different names for the same thing. A shank. Josh's tool says archery girl. No, so I call it a palette knife. I have heard it referred to over in other parts of the world as a spatula or a painter's knife. You know what I mean? Well, I call it a palette knife. So what we're going to do is show you how to use a palette knife, right? And all we're going to do is mix up 3 dark colors. Does anybody know the 3 dark colors that we're going to mix in order to create this deep, dark, purpley shadow? If you can type them into the comments and be the first one, I'll give you a little pin. Give you the pin. There she is right there. Eleni Ray McClellan. I hope I'm saying your name right. Eleni, maybe? I don't know. Either which way. Correct. Crimson, black, and blue. All right, we're going to go back. We're going to mix it up. We probably didn't even, I mean, as much as that is, right? It's a big old pile of paint. Probably didn't even make up enough. So let's go back. Grab, double what we just grabbed again. Mix them up again. You just want to make them all the same color, and they turn into this very, very, very dark purple mix. And that purple mix is a perfect mix to blend any color down to a shadow, right? So where you can go in with your highlights and tap it, and the more you tap it onto this purple mix, the more it will shadow itself with each tap, right? Now, that's a good old size pile of paint right there, if you ask me. It's got some depth to that size pile of paint. Okay, we need to have a nice clean fan brush, right? Do you want to know why we have to clean it? Why would we have to clean the white off of this if we were about to put it into our dark color? What's going to happen to our dark color if we were just to mix this white right onto it, right into the same pile? What's going to happen while I wash this off? Right, if we have a bunch of light color, a bunch of white onto our brush, and then we mix it in with a bunch of dark, what's going to happen to that dark? What's going to happen? It's going to lighten up, says K-Air. Moonlit says it's going to be lighter, right? It's going to lighten it, says Pickle Bee. Wouldn't be dark anymore, says Eric Warner. Thank you, Eric Warner, by the way. I'm not going to mention it, but thank you. Thank you, Eric Warner, for your comment, pal. Now, we're going to come in here. We don't want to brighten this paint up at all. We want it to be dark, right? So we're going to come back. Anytime we tap onto it now that we're going up to this color, which is covered in white, remember how we covered the canvas in white to begin with? It's going to start to mix anyway. So we'll take that brush, just like that. Come up here and show you how to make about 1 billion trees. Just about 1 billion, right? We start popping in, popping down, popping in, popping up, popping down. Just like a heart monitor, you know what I mean? Start to fill it, and we get a little bit higher on this side. Who knows? Who knows? All we're doing, filling in a whole bunch of forest all the way across our canvas, okay? Just like that. Come back in, little bits, bing, bang, boom. And if your brush is loaded very sharp, right? Like we come in and we load it one way, then we load it the other way, and that brings it to a nice fine point like that. Then it'll leave sharp little bits. Once your brush starts to become unsharp from bouncing on the canvas and it starts to spread the bristles out, they're not so sharp anymore out there. So you can always go back and load up your brush with new bits of paint, right? New little things. Now, we're going to come in, again, taking those, a little bit of pressure. See, we drag just a few little bits up off the top, because you don't want the whole thing to go up the top of your canvas, but you got to have a couple little sharp bits that come off the top of your trees, right? Just little bits of trunk or some sort of something out in the distance, and they're always going to be a little bit different. Now, we're going to come in and make a whole bunch of mist out of all of that stuff, right? People ask me, how do you paint the mist, Josh? This is how, right here. Take this big old brush like that. And all we're going to do is just start tapping it down. Maybe 5, 6, 7 taps. Come back up right next to it again. Tap it down again. Come next to it again. Tap it down again. Just going straight down, right? That's all we're doing, the whole way round. So while I'm doing this, you guys are going to tell me where you're watching from, what's your favorite sandwich, and we're just going to make the mist at a different height all the way around, like waves on the ocean. All right, maybe they come up a little bit higher, maybe we go down a little bit lower. Maybe they come up a little bit higher, maybe we go down a little bit lower. All depends, and we're just going to tap and tap and tap until they're softer and softer and softer. All right, so you guys tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? Tag your favorite sandwich place. If it's Jimmy John's, freaking tag them, man. I love that Jimmy John's number 13, baby. Like it's, what's the Italian nightclub? That's a good sandwich, okay? Let me tell you what, that's a good sandwich. Again, coming in, tapping, going back. And now watch this. You can literally start to mix up the bottom, bringing it up, bringing it down, bring it up, bring it down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Little things mixed up. Now you can't tell where the orange kind of stops, where the gray begins, where the bottom of the trees are. Are they all the way down here? Or are they way back there, right? Makes a difference on how close they are in our painting, for sure. So, yeah, I like those. I like them. Now, why don't we go out, if we're just going to have some trees out there, why don't we put a little, like a granddaddy tree of the forest out there, like Bob used to say? We're like, oh, let's take a little granddaddy tree out there. So, why don't we come over here in this open space, and we'll put just a little guy, little trunk, way out there, right? We don't even need to fill in all the way. It's just a guideline for us. And then let's do a downward sagging tree. We'll come in like this with our brush, and just start tapping in little Z patterns, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Right? And it looks like, you notice all those little spaces in there. So then you go back in, right in the center. You fill in the center so it's dark. You can have spaces out on the edges where the branches go out, but you want the center to be nice and dark. And gotta have it be dark in the center. Again, he's just a far away little tree anyway. He doesn't have any detail, barely. He's got the slightest amount more detail than his friends next to him. Now, how are we gonna blend him in? All right, we're gonna do the same exact thing, very lightly, because I don't want to take the whole bit of tree and pull him up. Come in here, start tapping at that color and working it outwards, and then back the other way, back to the middle, outwards, back over here, just back and forth until it looks however you want it to look. Remember, it's all up to you. Boom. Extra little bit of detail way off in the distance, right? Super easy. Super easy little thing. Much easier to do than you imagine, right? If you're looking at it going, I have no artistic talent, there's no way I can do this. You can. You literally can. I can teach you every single step. Literally every step on how to do it. All right, let's come over here. Maybe we got a couple little guys way off in the distance, right? We're gonna come down. Got one guy there. Maybe you had a little friend off the side. Don't put them too far away, right? If you put them too far apart from each other, then their branches are going to end up reaching out and touching like this, which is not what they really look like in the wild. Right out in the wild, everything grows so closely together because everything's trying to steal everyone else's water. That's what it's really all about. And we're going to come in here, we're going to start to tap, and push, and tap, and push, and extend our little branches, right? Taking the brush, using just the corner, and then the more we go down, the more we push into it, extending it out, getting it wider branches, right? You see why you come down not so far away? You don't want the branches out there touching. They gotta be all intertwined. All intertwined. Maybe this guy was a little bit taller. A little bit taller tree. Like that, right? Make him a little bit taller, just like that. Maybe he's a little downward saggy tree again. So we're gonna start tapping, and then we're gonna go to the left and the right. The left and the right. Left and the right. Left and the right. All these little branches, right? And then what do? We go back into the center and you make it dark. Make it dark in the middle. Especially the more you go down, the darker and darker and darker it should get. Now we have two little trees, one growing up, one sagging down, right next to each other, right? Very cool. We can actually keep those guys right there for just a minute. Come back over here. We're going to put a little tree just a little closer. How are we going to put it a little closer? We're going to make it a little bit taller than these guys. And then bring it down just a little bit further than those guys go. Just a little. Doesn't have to be the same. And remember, this is not the base of those trees, right? Once we start to pull it out, you start to climb higher and higher into your tree in order to create your land underneath, right? Little bits. So you can shrink it back and forth, either which way you want. Now we're going to come back here. So we're going to come in, we're going to tap with the corner of the brush, just one little tap, and then we're going to move down just an eighth of an inch and tap again, right? Then we're going to move down just a little bit, push a little bit harder, move down a little bit more, push a little bit harder. You start to build your branches that way. All we're doing is doing it in fast motion, right? We're starting to slap them down, getting all that color every which way, trying to stay out of your guys' way. What I like to do is show you how to do one side first, right? So we'll come in here, you start basically with the corner of the brush right at the trunk of the tree, and you start pushing out your little branches, right? Heading out the one side. Then you do the same thing on the other side. It's just harder for me, for me to show you guys this way, right? So I try to be fast about it. Hey, just like that. Pop them out on both sides. They're good. Doesn't have to be the most perfect thing, right? Doesn't have to be the craziest, thickest, craziest tree either. Maybe we go down a little bit more. Who knows? Who knows, right? Just like that. Right, now let's come back in before we get too far away. And let's take a little bit of our white paint right here. Come back onto this guy. And just start dropping it down, right? Pulling it down, and we got a little bit going that way. And all the while it's darkening on the brush, right? So every time you go across it, it's darkening because it's covering in with that other color. You see how you can make them, make a little bit of that dark tree shadow color kind of come down like that? Just by dragging it down a little bit, right? These guys off another direction. Down here. Boom, boom, boom. Very cool, right? You can always go back, brighten it up a little bit. However you want to make yours look, right? Now, we did that because we're going to catch the light right here, and then this guy is going to go a whole nother direction and slide down this way and this way, right? Creating a little ridge right there. Just like so. Bam, bam, bam. Slide them off, whatever which way you want. Now you got two little things. They're kind of growing towards us, right? And closer and closer and closer. Why don't we switch brushes real quick? We'll go back onto the white. Come back in here. Now I want to keep a little bit of disconnect in between those guys. That smallest little bit, little teeny tiny little gap in between there. Keep that there, because if both of those things touch and you lose your directional swipes, it's not going to make any sense. Gotta have the directional swipes working for our eyeballs. And some of the times you don't want to do it enough to where you lose all those little cool little bits, right? Swipe it up into the tree. It always makes it look more natural to me anyway. Now, off the shadowy side of this guy, let's take a little bit of blue with our white. A little bit of blue with the white. Come down off the back with this guy. See how it just changes it that little bit just for our eyeballs? That little touch of difference. It's still very bright, but it kind of looks like it's a little shadow down there, right? Just a little shadowy guy. Just a little shadowy guy. So, come back over in here. Now, always got to decide what we're going to do, how the scene's going to look, right? And you don't have to add too much color because we have that base color underneath that's sort of acting as our snow. The more that we blend this in, right? The more that we work that blue into it, the more it'll look like it's blending in, and then this is just a slightly different color. That's why we didn't add too much color. Look at that. Guys, that's a pretty one right there. Right? I don't know why I'm holding the fan brush out like this, but whatever I'm doing, this is causing it to be a good painting. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep holding it right there. Now we're going to come back to that same dark color with our makeup brush, I call it. It's a Bob Ross half round, right? Half size round, Bob Ross brush. Get it nice and thick and chunky, and then maybe like right there in between our two little bits. Popping a little bush, right? Right over the top of everything. Come back with our brush, little 1-inch brush. Makes everything nice and soft, right? Slide it out, but not too roughly, because we don't want to pull the color too far, right? We want to leave some of the color back behind our little bushes to act as its shadow. Poof! Just like that. Just like that, guys. A little bit more of our blue snow, pulling it off this way, letting it blend very softly. Very softly, right? You don't want to have it be like too abrupt of a line. You do have to have a bit of white to separate, right, where our shadow meets, but I don't like having it be such an abrupt line all the time. So we like to blend it down, pull it, shape it, move it. It's kind of like clay. You can like literally stretch it. However you want to move yours, you stretch it around. All right, slide this guy off the back, constantly changing, constantly blending in, more pressure, right? If you want it to really blend away, more pressure. Blend down, get a little hill out there. It's very cool. Now, we can pop a little bush in right here. We're gonna do one more tree in the front as well. So, since we have maybe just enough paint to do it, let's get it done before we run out and we have to make a new bit of our pile, right? A little bit of black, back and forth. That's why we go like this. So they shrink down, become very sharp. Can't even see it, right? Can't even see the brush, it's so sharp. Come down, it's gotta be a little bit taller than this guy now, just a touch. Just a touch taller, and then it comes down a little bit further below, right? All the way down to here. That will bring that tree way up into the foreground, right? So remember, guys, if you want to get this painting, you can go to paintwithjosh.etsy.com. I do sell all of the original paintings, and I have prints and hats, all sorts of crazy stuff in my Etsy store. You can go over and check it out. If you have Etsy, search me on the Etsy app, and if you don't have Etsy, then just go to paintwithjosh.etsy.com. Just type it into your web browser, and it'll pull me right up. It'll pull me up. All right, so we're going to come in here. We're going to start to push and push and push until the brush starts to lose the texture. Then I'm going to flip it around to our unused side, right? In which case it'll be a bit darker, a bit more thick paint. There we go. Pushing it back and forth, all the way down. However thick you want yours to be. It's got to get a little thicker down towards the end, I always say. As we all get older and bigger, we all get thicker down around the bottom and the middle. There we go. A little bit widening out. Doesn't have to be too crazy wide. All right, just a little bit. Now we're going to come back and highlight it anyway, so don't worry about it. Just want to have a little shadowy mix out there. Very cool little tree, if you ask me. And it doesn't all have to be even on the same side or anything, guys. Literally doesn't. Now, why don't we take the bottom of this guy and we slide him out, pulling it in different directions, pulling it down, pulling it across, sliding it up that way, letting it blend in, like kind of taking it and going up the side of that little shadowy hill that we had created right there. Not trying to cover in everything. And the more pressure we have, the more it's going to blend, right? Then we go back in, we cover it with a bit of more snow, and then it'll be perfect. That's awesome. Couple little trees out there in the dist. You guys are just cool, man. You guys are just cool hand Joshes, if you ask me. Or Luke's, whatever. Cool hand Luke's is fine. Okay, what if we do one more little baby tree right next to this guy? A little baby, like he's just sitting here growing. There's almost too much room. I love the distance, though, back. It's almost like we see off over the edge. Dang, it looks cool. All right, one more guy over here. Just a little guy. Little guy. Do a little downward saggy tree for Bob. These are my, like, Bob tribute trees. Saggy downward facer. Pop, 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 pop. Stick them in like that. Cool. I always heard somewhere that you want an odd number when you're painting stuff. So like 3, 5, 7, right? You want an odd number of things. I heard. Like I said, I never went to art school. I don't know the reason that you want an odd number of things. And many times I look at my paintings and I have an even number of trees and I'm like, oh, that looks good. And I go, oh yeah, you're supposed to have odd. For whatever reason, that stuck with me. I think Bob said it once on his show that you should have an odd number of stuff, or he heard that when he went to art school or something. Does anyone else remember that? Am I just going crazy? Do I just not know anything? I swear he said that. I don't know the reason. I would think like even you would have better like symmetry if it was even, you know what I mean? But yes, he did say it. Yes, odd numbers. Beautiful. Thank you. Apparently the odd number attracts more to the eye. Okay, well, we'll figure that out. I mean, based off the number of viewers that we have right now, I'd say it's working. And we'll find out when we go to post it to my Facebook page whether or not this one gets a lot of likes. If it gets a lot of likes, then we'll know that something, maybe it was the 5 trees that had a lot to do with it, right? If you don't follow me on Facebook, I have 557,000 followers on Facebook. So head over there and follow me. I'm obviously doing something right on Facebook to get 557,000 people. Just crazy, if you ask me. Now, let's come back. A little bit more of our white, and then we'll go highlight all these little beautiful trees, our little bushes and stuff. Right? Really pulling it down in one direction, getting it really loaded full. Now we have to separate ourselves from this guy just a little bit. Little thing. Doesn't even have to be that big. Right? We can start to work it towards little bits, little things at a time, just so there's a slight difference, right? Just need a little slight difference. Pop this guy in like that. Come over here, a little bit more. Changing the angle, right? Coming back, swiping him back up into the tree. Makes it look more natural if you swipe it up in there versus pulling it just straight down, right? Now we'll come off to this guy with a little bit of our blue mix. We'll take our blue, a little bit of white, pulling it down over here. It's got to be a little bit darker blue in front here than this blue, right? And that way it'll help our eyes, I'm telling you. It'll really help our eyes play with each other if the blue's a slightly darker bit, right? It's a little darker, it's more shadowy down here. It's further away from the sun, a little bit darker blue. So cover the end, pull it off in this direction as our little bit of earth is sliding off that way. Got our guy down here, right? We can always take this, change it up, pull it down, move it over, slide it up. Do whatever you want to do with your little bit of tree and your bit of snow. And just like that, by mixing it back and forth, we've created this dark shadow over here. Very cool. Now, if we're all about those shadows, just real quickly, I would imagine there would be some sort of shadowing in here off of this tree, just a bit darker than it actually is. So why don't we see if we can recreate that, right? Actually doesn't look that bad. Oh, it actually maybe go down like this. There we go. That actually doesn't look that bad. I'm very surprised about that, right? The whole thing, you could easily get rid of it if you just push it a little harder. It's all gone. Get rid of everything, right? We got our trees going this way from the sun. This guy is going this way, and this guy is very dark. I don't think we need to even add any extra bit of height, but that's very cool. That's very cool right there. I'm kind of proud of myself on that one. That one, I'm telling you guys, I never know what it's going to look like or what until we pop it out the old brush. And then you see right here, right live on, on your screen, I don't practice, right? This is my practice. I come live and I practice for you guys and I go, okay, let's see if this works. Let's see how that's going to work if we do that or this, or what if we just tapped in right here at the base of the tree just to soften it just a little bit. See what I mean? Like different little things that we do. But I never go practice offline. Everything is for you guys right here. So if ever you see something, you're like, wow, that was really cool. He seems really excited about it. That's because it's the first time I ever did it and it worked. That's why you get excited. That's the real joy of painting. When you actually do something and the thing that you pictured in your head actually comes out and you go, holy crap, I didn't think it was going to work. Well, how about that? How about that, right? So now we're going to come back in. Let's get a little of our liquid white. The liquid white is a very runny paint. Actually, see it flick off like that? You can never do that with the titanium white. Never flick off your brush. Now we're going to get a little of our blue and have a little shadowy side and a little bright side to each of our little trees, right? So obviously our shadowy side on this guy is going to be back here. We're going to come back. We're going to start to tap little things. I'm not trying to cover up all the dark, right? So we're skipping a lot. Random little bits of blue out there. All we're doing, using the corner of the brush, right? Taking it like this at this angle, not at this angle, not downwards, not upwards, not that, right? This angle. And then we go and we push. And you push, 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 and you push. And all those little things look like little bits of tree branches way out in the distance, right? Come over here. Again, not trying to cover up everything. So once you make contact, you move. Make contact, you move, you bounce back and forth, and you're almost done by the time you get down to the bottom, right? Don't cover everything. Leave those stinking dark bits under the blue. If you don't, you're going to be mad at someone, and it's not going to be me. It's going to be you. All right, come over here, a couple little tap-tappies. These guys are going up, so they get the little tap-tappies going up, and then these guys are going down. So again, just going to go off the backside. Right here, there, and everywhere. Not everywhere, right? We're leaving some dark area. Gotta have those dark areas. So let's say every other where. But here, there, and every other where, we're leaving little bits of blue. Now we're going to come back and get more liquid white, right, into our titanium white section up here, pulling it off in a different direction. It's a very slippery, sloppy, wet paint, right? Very slippery. So it wants to come off of our brush much easier and attach itself to the painting much easier. So you got to be careful, especially with a big old monster sized brush like this, right? Again, you go down, you don't touch every single piece. You don't have to. Please don't. Please don't touch every single bit. If you cover up every bit of darkness, there's nowhere for the critters to live, like Bob used to say. There'd be nowhere for the critters to live if you covered everything up out there, right? They got to be able to scurry in and find a place. If you cover it all, where are they supposed to go? Pop in a little bit of white. Again, not trying to cover every single piece of darkness, just a couple little taps out there, guys. Really, it's really simple. Just a few little things. Pop them in, right? A couple little flip flaps. That's all I'm doing. I'm going like this, right to the canvas and just touching it with just a corner, just a little baby corner, right? Remember, guys, go follow my friend at Crappy Candles. If you're over here and you like candles, they have awesome candles. I actually have one burning downstairs. Crappy Candles over here on TikTok. Again, coming in right angle, not flat, not straight up like this, where we're like, right? On this diagonal angle with the brush. And then we come in, we start tapping, and as soon as we make contact, you have to move. You make contact, you start moving. Little teeny tiny taps. Teeny tiny taps. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Little bits, right? Start making little things. Turn into really cool little things, right? Come over here. One last little touch of our light. And then this guy you might not be able to see me do so well because he's all the way over in the corner. But just know that we're doing the same exact things. Couple little tap-tappies. And as we get down here, we're rotating the brush a little bit. So we get these little different angles, right? Very cool. Very, very cool. All depends what you want your tree to look like. Don't I always say that? I do. You're right. I do always say that. And then when your tree is done, then you stop. Okay, but the big question, the big problem that everybody gets is, when is my tree done, Josh? When is it done? Well, it's done when you have about 50% of the darkness, 25% of it in the light, and 25% of it in the shadow, whatever color shadow you go with. All right, so let's go with a little bit of our blue into our shadowy mix, and just off the backside down here, just a little touch, little teeny tiny bit. Don't need much. Now we're going to wipe the brush off onto a paper towel, come over onto our white bright side, pop up just above. Oh, little things, guys, just little babies. Woo! It looks like a frozen solid bush out there. Man, get your coats out. This one's a cold one, guys. So remember, it's available for sale if you go to paintwithjosh.etsy.com, or if you just go to paintwithjosh.com, you can find my Etsy store right through paintwithjosh.com. I sell through Etsy. I have more than 966 sales. Something crazy. This painting is number 933. So if you want to get it, make sure you go to paintwithjosh.etsy.com, search for number 933. That's how many paintings I've done in my career of painting, which has only been 4 years. We've done 933 paintings. That's a lot of paintings. I mean, if you ask me, I don't know if you guys think that's a lot, but that's a lot of paintings. Man, that's a cool one. Look at that. Frozen, cold little scene. Whew. And it's under $200. My goodness. That's a wicked steal. Who made the price up for this one? Definitely not me. No, I'm just kidding. It's the last day of this is my last day of the week that I paint. I get a night off tomorrow at least. And then we come back on Thursday. So for my final painting of the week, I figured I'd give you guys a good deal. Give me a good deal. Get the birds flying through there. Sign this guy down here. Very pretty, if you ask me. Woo! Beauty. Beautiful. So we need to come up with a name for this one, guys. Can you help me name it? What are we going to name this old, brand new painting? What would you name it if you had just painted it and you're like, oh, you know what? This is my best one ever. Now I need to come up with the best name ever. What's that name going to be? What would that name be, you guys? And this. This one came out perfect, you guys. I'm just going to scrape up the old palette, and then we'll be ready to come back and paint on Wednesday. No, Thursday. I'm like, what the heck is today? I keep thinking today's Monday for some reason. I know it's not Monday. So, spin you guys around. We'll see what you got for comments here. And what should we call this painting? There we go. What should we call this beautiful piece of painting right here, you guys? Snowy sentries after the storm. I like that. After the storm. Let's see. Orange creamsicle. I like that one too. Winter glooming. Breathless. That's very cool. Peaceful paths. I dig it. Right before spring. I like that. Cold winter's eve. I dig that. It's almost like, you ever see off the side of the road when you pull up and then there's like that mound, and then over the edge of the mound is just like a big valley. That's what it looks like almost. Like we pulled over right here. We were like, ooh, I'm gonna go get out, stretch my legs. She'd be like, I want to stand over here and look at the scenery. Honey, come here and look at this scenery. And then you know, she falls off the edge. I didn't say we pushed her. I said she fell off the edge. Very cool. Frosted forest. I like that one. Icy end. Fire red ash. Morning forest. Winter hue. something in the orange. Who fell? I was saying it looks like a place where you would pull up along, you're on a road trip, pull up along the side of the road, and it's like that bit where you can look down. There's like this big old thing. So you get out and you're like, oh, honey, come check this out. And then you just push, like I said, we didn't push her. She just fell. She fell. We didn't do it. We were just there. She just fell. Yeah, she fell down the hill. I don't know what happened. Smoky Whisper, Sunset Chill. Oh, man, you guys are really good at naming paintings. Like, really good. Winter Warmth, I dig. Orange Love. Sunset Winter Valley. Hibernation, that's a cool one. Right? Because there's no animals about except for these birds. They should have been flying south a long time ago. But they're late. They're late. The place Grandma fell, quote unquote. That's funny. Before the Fire. Ooh. Ooh, a winter's fall, fire in a frosty sky. That's, I like that. It's like fire and ice. I like that. Pink Luster. If you had not spelled it, I wouldn't have spelled it correctly. I would have put Luster, like Buster. Hey, Buster. Extinction, that's a cool one. Right? Because there's only 3 birds left in the whole landscape, at least in this one. That's very cool. Extinction. I'm kind of stuck on that, guys. That's kind of neat. Colorado Morning. I dig that. A warm cold. Ooh, something about... Come on, let's mix it. Let's do something warm and like a warm winter's something. Cold breath of a warm something or other. Let's work that in. The Ice Age dissipates. I like that. Frozen Summer, Bleeding Sky, Winter Blush. See, there you go. Velvet Ice. You guys are good. You guys are really good. Warm Winter Sunset. Cool Hands, Warm Heart. I like that. Land Before Sound. That sounds kind of cool. You know what I hear, though? It's like... That's all I hear. Whipping around this scene. Thank you, Andrea McLean. I appreciate that. Thank you. Touch of Frost. Warm Breath of Winter. I really like that one, guys. Who's that? Sugar's Honey. Let's give you a follow. Where are you at over here? Well, you got 2,705 followers now because world famous Paint with Josh follows you. I'm not world famous. I like messing with people. So, Warm Breath of Winter. I like that. That's a cool title. That is a cool title. So before we forget it, let's flip this guy around, lock it back down. Over here, over there. Number, what did I say, 933? Sure is now. What was the title again? Warm Breath of Winter. Warm Breasts of Winter. Got it. Warm Breasts of Winter. I don't know why they have to be warm, but either way. 23. Paint with Josh.com, guys. That's where we're all going to go. Paintwithjosh.com. She's the only one that caught it. Thank you. Appreciate that. I put breath. Come on. See? I was just trying to make you guys go, no, breath. But you guys didn't fall for it. You know my tricks already. You guys already know my tricks, trying to make you comment. You already know. You're stingy. You're stingy with your comments. You're making me work too hard for those comments, guys. A little bit up here. Just to finish wherever the easel didn't cover. Bam, 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 bam. Even on these little baby canvases, I still finish the edges. We blend everything out. And that way you have a completed painting, at least in colors, around the sides. Very cool. So you can take it straight out of the box, hang it right up, and it'll look really neat. We need to blend this guy down a little bit. There we go. Very cool. So, excellent title. I appreciate that. And whoever said, I love that one, bro, I appreciate you as well. So we're going to get out of here, guys. This one's available for sale. If you go to paintwithjosh.etsy.com, you can buy it. It's number 933. It came out fantastically. And yeah, I'm going to get out of here because I always end up spending way too much time with you guys and not enough time with Bailey. So I'm getting offline, and we're going to go. I do varnish them afterwards if they need them. You know, some of them, the way that we blend it, you don't need them. Some of them you do. Like I had some of those dark seascape ones that didn't get a full coverage of clear, so we'll have to go over and varnish those ones. All depends on the look that you really want. So appreciate it, guys. And that's so. Yeah, until I see you guys again next time, right? Head over to my Facebook page, 557,000 followers on Facebook. That's a lot of people. So head over there. If you want to buy this painting, I'm about to go post it over there, and they might want to buy it as well. So if you want it, get over there. It's $199.80, just under $200, free shipping anywhere in the land, except for the moon or Mars. I don't know how to ship there yet. So if you're watching from there, you're out of luck. But if you have like a P.O. box here on Earth, come down and pick it up. I could ship it there, okay? So beautiful painting. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moonlight, she gets my jokes. I hope it's she, or they get my jokes. I should just say that. Yeah. And beyond that, I love you guys. And Wanda is on Mars. So, yeah, you guys take care. And until I see you again on Thursday, enjoy your Wednesday without me. I do have a brand new free tutorial coming out. It's the double seascape painting, the double purple painting that we filmed over here on TikTok on Monday. We filmed it on Monday. So that one's going to be a broken up tutorial, zoomed in. You see all the details. It's fantastic. So, yeah. Until I see you guys then, good night, everybody. Good night, Janice. Good night, Airy Fairy Faye. And who's that? Angie Darby. I was going to say Gid Baby. No, that's not right. That's not right. So, but yeah, love you guys. And until I see you guys later, always go follow me on Instagram, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Facebook, follow me right here on TikTok. Have a good night, everybody. Until I see you guys again next time, remember to have your pets spayed or neutered. And beyond that, go to bed, everybody. It's late. It's late. Are you still awake?